Hi there, and thank you for tuning into the Social Circus, where every week we dive into a variety of topics covering social media, mindset, and how to run your business. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Social Circus. I am your host, Sarah, and today I am excited to be joined by Jenny Cole. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Sarah.
So great to have you on here today. I'm very excited to talk to you about a topic that's quite dear to my heart, and I wish it was dearer to other women more, and that's leadership.
Yes, well, it's very dear to my heart, so we're going to talk a lot about it, hopefully.
Brilliant. So, Jenny, if people haven't met you before, tell us a little bit about your journey into being an entrepreneur and what it is that you do now.
Okay, so I started my career as a teacher aide while I was studying to be a teacher, and I was a special education teacher, and I fell into leadership quite early when I was teaching in a country school, and my principal at the time was writing blank checks, and he was told that he didn't have a job, and all of a sudden I had his. So I was a principal really early, really young.
Wow.
And then did a variety of things. I was a visiting teacher and visited schools all across the state and various other roles. And then I found myself in a beautiful little school in the hills, and I loved working there. But I got a bit bored. I get bored quite easily, and ended up in a very complex special school in the city, which I managed to kind of sit out for about 7 years. But a whole variety of things came to fruition, and I became overwhelmed and exhausted and had a kind of little nervous breakdown, spiritual awakening. And I literally walked in one day and said, I'm not coming back tomorrow. And that was a bit of a joke at the time, but I never went back. And so
Wow.
I jokingly say I found myself on the kitchen floor in the fetal position going, how am I going to pay my mortgage? I just built a beautiful new house, and I just knew I couldn't go back. That was it. And so I decided to start my own company because that's what you do when you don't have any money. And I used to consult back to the education department on a variety of things. But what I really got fascinated with was, how come I crashed and burned and there were other people who could manage to lead successfully and happily for years at a time? So I became fascinated with leadership. And so I'm now a leadership coach, and I run leadership development courses, particularly for people in education, but others as well. So that's kind of how I got here.
Amazing journey. Thank you so much for sharing so honestly. I think that I am excited to see more people talking about mental health these days than we ever had. And I imagine for you at that time, that wasn't an easy conversation to have. And it's wonderful that from that really dark period came what can only be described as an amazing business. So you kind of have two businesses, don't you? But one is really your baby. So let's talk about talk about that one.
Yes. And that's the one where I focus on women, particularly women in education, and about making sure that you can not only survive in your very busy world, but thrive as well.
Wonderful. Amazing. So with leadership, and so I've known Jenny for a couple of years and we've worked with each other. And I have to say, as a business owner, like an entrepreneur, and I'm a kind of a solopreneur. I work with my husband, but he doesn't take orders, to be honest. And I've got I've got a virtual team and things like that, but I'm not really a manager and I don't have staff. And so when I first met you, I was like, oh, this woman's amazing, but I'm an entrepreneur and I don't really need to understand leadership. Yeah. Does that make you cringe?
No. Well, even women who are in formal leadership roles refuse to almost call themselves leaders. I think it's a leftover from, that attitude's a leftover from a leader should be a bloke in a suit. I call it a one man and a megaphone. We kind of assume that leadership is a guy out the front or someone very powerful in their black suit telling people what to do. But the women in business, you lead your business, you lead your family quite often. You're the one making decisions, setting directions, making sure you're heading in the right place, and that's leadership. And even in the formal leadership courses that I run, we start with self-leadership. We start with confidence and understanding what motivates us and all of those sorts of things. And if you're a business owner, you know that you've got to get up in the morning and make decisions and set direction and tick things off, and that's leadership.
I don't know how everyone who's listening felt when they heard that, but I still feel uncomfortable. If I'm really honest, I'm kind of like, oh gosh, am I a leader? I don't know. And I want to kind of circle back, because you used a phrase that I think many people will not have heard before, and that's this self-leadership. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because I think us as business owners, that's a huge part of what we do.
So my favourite definition of leadership is from my mate, Brené Brown. She's not my mate, but I've listened to her almost everything she's ever done.
You're friends with her, she just doesn't know it.
Yeah. I listen to her podcast in the shower, and I often wonder if she realised how many times she showered with me. And her definition is, a leader is anyone who can find potential in people and processes. And so that's kind of the definition of an entrepreneur too. But self-leadership is understanding our own style, understanding what motivates us. It's things like emotional intelligence. It's things like, it's confidence, which is a real issue for women for all sorts of reasons.
Absolutely.
And being able to just be okay with yourself, so that you can ask for money in business. And in fact, that was the advice that someone told me when I first went into business. If you're not okay to ask people for money, then don't go into business. But that's self-leadership. That's the confidence to say, I'm worth this per hour, or the thing that I make is worth this amount of money.
Amazing.
So being okay with yourself is the first part to leading, whether or not you think you are or not.
Yeah, and it's so insightful, because I genuinely feel most of us who run a business hear things about leadership and I know it just washes over me, because I have such a low awareness of what role I sit in my business. And hearing you speak, I'm like, oh, absolutely, I'm a leader. I lead my family and I lead my business, and I lead my clients as well, because my job with my clients is to see the potential in them.
Yes.
And so I'm pretty much being a leader all day, every day, with no awareness and recognition. So is that quite common for us women?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we are givers. Most of us are much, much happier building other people up, building capacity, seeing potential. But all of that could easily be seen as leadership competencies. So it's not, and it doesn't matter what you call yourself. It's just that, again, it comes back to confidence. A lot of women just are so good at providing for others, and when it comes to themselves, they go, oh no, I can't, I'm not ready yet, I don't know enough yet, I'm not worthy yet, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too whatever, I'm just a mum, or I'm just I just make macrame. And all of that mindset stuff, all of that self-talk gets in the way of us, whether it's leading or successfully running our business. It can get in the way. And a lot of that is things that those mindsets are things that we've been taught by our culture, but also that we reinforce for ourselves.
I'm super good at that.
We all are.
And I come from a very strong family of strong female role models, and I'm still not great at acknowledging my own leadership. And I think we often sell ourselves short. And I think as women entrepreneurs, it would be nice if we could step a bit more comfortably into that, because a few of the points that you've touched on in talking about confidence and asking for money and starting before you're ready and stepping out and saying, I am an expert and I can do this. Those actually hold us back in our business. If we don't do those things, if we don't step into our leadership traits, it holds us back, doesn't it?
Sure does. And so I teach a lot about confidence, and confidence is really just the ability to turn your thoughts into action. And as women, we second guess ourselves quite a lot. And so just know, and it's it's not our fault. Our brain has a whole bigger part of it than men have that is designed to worry. It's designed to keep people safe. It's designed to keep your kids safe. It's designed to make sure that the old people don't wander away and die in the bushes. You know, this is a part of our brain that's been there for years and years and years. But we don't need that anymore. And so it's understanding that when we second guess ourselves and when we go, oh, no, I won't ask for that, or I'm not ready for that, or I'll just go to another course, that's our brain trying to keep us safe, which was great when we lived around a campfire in tents, but we don't anymore. So we have to kind of turn that part of our brain off and go, no, right here, right now, I'm not in any trouble. And the best thing that I can do for my confidence is take forward action, just to do something, you know. And that doesn't mean enroll in a course.
Oh my gosh, I'm the master of those.
Serious procrastinators with education. It means actually doing something, ringing that supplier. It means taking that order. It means following up with some lead that you've got. Yeah,
that's such great advice. And I want to kind of share, because I'm a great action taker. I'm like, I'm going to do this and let's do it. And in my head, everything is telling me that I can't do it. And I'm like, if this was a client that I was coaching, I would tell them to do it and just step forward. And so I constantly take action. And in my head, I'm often so doubting myself. And I make myself take it anyway. And I don't know what's led me to that path, because I would have thought my mind would have caught up with me by now. Does it ever?
No, but what you've done is realise that you've not died by taking imperfect action. It will never get, you know, sometimes you take action and it's not right, but you learn from it, and so we do it again. Whereas a lot of perfectionists are waiting for everything to be right, so that when they actually do take action and it fails for whatever reason, they go, see, told ya, and it actually stops them from taking any more risks. So noticing that voice in your head that says I can't or don't, or what are they going to think about me, take action anyway, learn from it and keep moving forward, rather than waiting for everything to be perfect, so that when you do put your product or your course or your products out into the world, and people don't like them, it's not a complete failure. It just, So waiting too long to take action is a real problem. Taking action, even though you're doubting yourself, is absolutely perfect. The way to do it.
Thank you. It is, and it's funny because I'm certain that people would look at me and think I'm very confident, and it's all a ruse.
It is for all of us. It is for all of us.
Okay, I constantly second guess, do I know enough to be teaching this? That's my favorite thing to lie awake and ask myself. And if you could see me on paper, I'm 25 years into marketing, 11 into digital with 3 degrees. I'm not sure what else I need to be an expert, probably another course.
Yes, yeah. And again, that's Brené Brown. I am enough. Right here, right now, I'm enough. I'm absolutely worthy of everything, and I don't need to know more. I just need to do more. Yeah.
Oh, that's so juicy. Jenny, you're dropping out some absolute little gems for the listeners. So I am enough, and just to take imperfect action. I love that. Fantastic. So I'm kind of mindful of time and try not to talk too long, but I guess what I would love my viewers to have something that they could practice for their confidence, because we're all practicing and moving forward. What's some little bits of advice that you could help us to slowly chip away at the big monster that is our self-doubt?
I think you kind of referred to it. It's those voices in our head. So the voices in our head are telling us stories that say, what would they, what would you know? Who do you think you are? Whatever they are. We all have our own voices, and they often come from our childhood. I like giving my voice a name and saying, mine's called Mary. Mary is my mum, who I love very much, but she can be very critical. So when I hear a voice go around in my head that says, who do you think you are? You can't do this. I imagine Mary on my shoulder and I say, Mum, I've got it. I've got this all under control. One of my clients calls her voice Petunia. because Petunia is pathetic. And she turns to Petunia and says, I know you're trying to keep me safe, Petunia, but you're just pathetic. Oh. And it feels odd, but talking to yourself and having an argument with the voices in your head actually makes you realise which one's in charge, the logical you, not the one that's trying to trip you up. Wow. So give the voice in your head a name and tell her to get lost.
Oh, I love that idea. I've heard that before and I've forgotten it. And while you were talking, I was trying to remember what voice I'd given mine. And I'm like you, I have a wonderful, strong mother, but she also has a very strong voice in my head. And when she speaks, I'm certain that my mum would never say those things to me now. She's very supportive and very proud of me. But as a child, she pushed me very hard. And so that voice, can't you do better? Yes. Is my constant, my mum in my head. Yes. There's somebody else who's written, Janine Garner has written a book called Brilliance, and she calls hers that the voice that sits on her shoulder is an orangutan called Mabel. And I love that. She says, Mabel, this is not a job for an orangutan. And I love that. So she's not only given it a name, but she's completely changed its identity. Yeah. So it makes it even less powerful because it kind of, the idea of orangutan comes back to a concept that I love hearing is it's mind monkeys.
Yeah. Yes.
And they are monkeys because they're just misbehaving and making a run amok of things. And I love that idea. So for everyone that's listening, I will make sure I reference a couple of Brene Brown books in there because I know that Jenny and I are both big fans, and the other book you've just mentioned. But Jenny, I know that people would love to connect with you, and we haven't given your amazing group a plug yet.
Okay, so I have a number of social media handles, but the place that I love to hang out is Wildly Wonderful Women, Positively Beaming for Wildly Wonderful Women. It's a Facebook group, and I get up every morning and I post something inspirational or funny or affirming, and it's just a good way to start the day with a smile on your face.
Oh, I do love your group, and I have to say I've got notifications turned on, which I would say you're one of the 3 groups that I have that simply because I really enjoy starting my day with that positive message that you share. And I also like the fact, which is completely contradicts my own group, you don't ask much of me.
No.
So it's a really cool place to hang out.
You don't have to respond. You just get a daily dose of joy.
Oh, thank you so much, Jenny. I hope that I'm certain my listeners have got lots of good little nuggets from today's interview. And I am so grateful that you have spared some of your very valuable time to talk to me. And I hope that for all of you women that are listening, you have paid attention today. And if you have felt a little bit uncomfortable, that's a great thing. And you take on some of Jenny's wise words, that how we can step into our leadership and be more comfortable with that. So thank you, Jenny, for your time. I am very grateful.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning in to The Social Circus. As your host, Sarah Thompson, I am thrilled that you've chosen to spend your time hanging out with me. I would be so grateful if you could spare an extra moment to go and leave me a review on your favourite podcasting platform. And if you even felt more excited, you could share my podcast with your friends who you think would get great value from it. Thanks so much again for tuning in.